Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Time Machine. I'm Harper, and today I'm creating an imaginary poster for an imaginary movie of an imagined apocalypse. This film from 1979 explores the horrific realities of the inevitable annihilation of the human race by way of artificial intelligence. Winner of the coveted Basilisk Award at the Cannes Film Festival, a feel-good holiday film for the whole family. Which is to say, I'm goofing around in my sketchbook. So this is one of those videos where I do a scripted opening, like the awesomeness that you just listened to, and then I watch the playback of making the image, and I talk about how I made it and why I made the decisions I made and other fascinating stuff like that. Just off the top of my head and blah blah blah. I don't know, like I said, I don't have a script for this part. Hemingway, let's just get into it. Alright, so that was some vermilion and cobalt blue watercolor, just some wet on wet, just slopping it around to get that classic orange to blue fade sort of sky background. And this is some Payne's Gray, just doing some line work, keeping it loose, keeping it sloppy. This is where you can just really figure out like, okay, kind of what are my shapes? Let's keep that lively line, let's keep it open and flowing. So I'm just farting around. I don't really know what the robot looks like at this point. What's that? Just squish it around. That's fine. I'm just making it up as I go. There's an arm. Now this part right here is not sped up. This is the actual speed I was going. So you can tell like I'm not worrying a whole lot about details or like, oh, is this perfect? Or I wonder if I should have, I'm just kind of throwing it down and just making up shapes and just giving myself some basic, just a blueprint kind of a where to go. You know what I mean? I think you do by now. That looks like a leg. Okay, let's draw that in there. Super duper. That's a kneecap. Again, just sort of fishing around for lines. Just, I don't know, what would that look like if it was like that or maybe not. This is the back leg. Here comes the other arm. Bring that in here, just making it up on the page. Maybe this hand has a claw, like a giant claw, sort of give him a Freddy Krueger look. Just getting Freddy with it, whatever that means. All right, let's refine the shoulders a little bit more and definitely give him a hole in the armor for his neck to stick out because you definitely need a neck hole. And then right here was a sort of a happy accident. I grabbed little blobs of the vermilion and just smushed them on with my thumb. That one got a little heavy, so take it off with a paper towel. But that's a cool little happy accident. Now it looks like this rad power emanating from the claw hand. Yeah, I know. Amazing. Okay, now we're moving on to the line work, the final line work, and this is just going to be with a 6B pencil, not a 3B or a 4B or a 7 or a 9B, 6B only the best for my viewers. There's that neck hole I was talking about. So for this line work, I've got the nice loose stuff I did with a light watercolor wash underneath, and I can, like I said, I just use that for a blueprint, and I can say, okay, this is about where this goes, but how are the details? And that's when you start doing some thinking here with the 6B pencil. You can just go ahead and fill them in, and let's go ahead and put a light up here on this big shoulder, and another one here. So this part of the pencils is in real time. So you can see about how fast I was going. So to pencil this whole thing probably took between 15 and 20 minutes. I'm not trying to kill myself with detail, just keeping it large, basic shapes. But this is going to take too long, so let's go ahead and speed it up right now. There it is. Again, you can still get an idea of the decisions I'm making and how I'm thinking, okay, this is kind of an arm. He's got some pneumatics here that sort of look like muscles, but not really. Again, that's the cool thing about this kind of work, this kind of a style, if you want to call it a style, especially on a cool robot from outer space. You can just make up any old shape and no one's going to say, hey, that's not a robot from outer space from 1979. What are you talking about? That's not what they look like. No, they can't. You know why? Because you get to make it up. You decide, right? So this hand is going to have some sort of flipper paddles, can still smash a commuter bus or a train if he wanted to, much like Godzilla. You could ask Blue Oyster Cult about that. Again, that's the cool thing about, how many times am I going to say again? Let's count. It's like a drinking game. So again, this is a leg. This is where his underwear goes. I mean, if he wore underwear, he looks like he has a big belt buckle there too. Cool. Hey, maybe he was a rodeo star on his planet. Just making up the lines. Just, sort of looks like a hinge right there. Just put one down. Let's make a big kneecap. Those always look cool. We'll fill in a big hinge right there for the elbow. Make a cover for the elbow. Sort of like a chain guard on your bicycle. More pneumatics. Make it look sort of real. Whatever your reel is. Let's add some lights. And maybe this hand. So this hand was like a really cool happy accident. It turned out like I really like the design of this. And again, that was just from, laying down quick lines with the watercolor beforehand. And whoa, that was a cool trick. Turn that 6B pencil into a big fat sloppy brush that I bought at the Home Depot. 3 brushes for only $2. Now these brushes are giant piles of turd, but what they are awesome for is smearing lines. So that's just some water on there, just clean old water, just squishing around the lines of that 6B pencil to try to give it that hazy sort of distance look. Like, is that really a giant robot coming to crush my neighborhood? Whoa, it is. Total bummer. Okay, so the background and the figure were starting to fight each other, so I added some unbleached white to the background to just sort of separate the background from the character. And I'll add a bunch more of that along the bottom of the side. Wow, that sounded amazing. You can hardly wait for that. And this is my old friend, just some watered down white gesso, just building up the lines on that speaker, yelling, lightning bolt thing, whatever that is, doing the eye shield or where we think his eyes might be, who knows. And then we're just going to build up all the metal parts with 1 or 2 sort of thin washes of gesso mixed with water, just to try to get that cool metal work. So here on the shoulder, it's really starting to boost it up. You can get an idea of like, hey, that's pretty cool. You can really get some cool effects with some thin washes of just gesso on top of your background. Let's go ahead and put some highlights on his mouth teeth filter thing. Now this hand turned out to be a really cool happy accident. I really like the design of it. And again, that was just from making really quick sloppy marks with that underpainting with the Payne's Gray. So this whole thing is just building up thin layers of the gesso on top of your background colors that sort of come through and give you that nice translucent sort of glow, really warm feeling like an autumn evening in front of a fire. That sounds nice, doesn't it? There's the rib cage popping out. Looking good. And of course, we had to go down to Flicktown right after that. Go to Flicksville and start putting some Payne's Gray Flick on top of it to give it that weathered look, to give the metal that beat up weathered look. Let's add some orange lights because robots always have lights, especially on their heads and on their elbows. Don't forget the lights on the elbows, very important. And a couple more highlights on the face teeth. Looking sweet. Boosting it up. All right, and here's some more of that unbleached white for the background to really offset the figure a little bit more, but not too much. Just enough, a little more around the neck. And we need a title for this movie poster, and there it is. Nice. I chose to put it on some tracing paper and just glued down one corner and then taped down the other side because I didn't really leave enough room. But ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Another giant robot coming to destroy the Earth. Ladies and gentlemen, I've decided that you need an extra special treat at the end of this video. So today, for your pleasure, I'm going to go ahead and sing the outro. That's right, you lucky ducks. You're welcome in advance. And as always, for even more hot sketchbook action, cool stories about art and life, and and dad jokes. Check out these rad videos right here. And if you thought this video was better than some of the so-called blockbuster summer movies, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon so you'll never miss another Sketchbook video right here, right where, right here on the Time Machine. Thank you so much for watching. That was terrible.